Good morning. Welcome everyone to the Special Events Committee meeting this morning. We've got a pretty full agenda, so we'll be as efficient as possible. Just a couple of administrative notes for those who have not been at a Special Events Committee meeting before. This is an administrative function that the City of Boise convenes with all of the different stakeholders and agencies that have to sign off on major events in the community. So we don't make decisions in real time here. We just ask event organizers to come and present to the group as a whole. It saves time for the team and for event organizers. We found it's much more coordinated that way. Also allows us to, coordinate across county, state, city. It is a live streamed meeting, so watch your P's and Q's and don't say anything that you would not want your grandmother to hear you say, because it will live on in perpetuity. Some of us, I think, have learned that lesson the hard way. So just a good reminder there. We will go around the table and make introductions. I think we only have one committee member online. Kelly, we don't have anything on this screen though. So if we have things come up, we'll want to see it there too.
Okay. We'll do that.
So we will start off with, my name's Maria Wegg. I'm in the Office of Community Engagement at the City of Boise. And let's start with John from ACHD.
John Watson, Ada County Highway District.
Conrad McDaniel, Republic Services, and I like your shirt.
Sydney Murphy, City Risk Management.
Summer Altieri, Boise Parks and Rec.
Jesse Tappert, Boise Fire Department.
Cameo Aiken, State County Paramedics.
Jeff Nia, Boise Police. Matthew Konvalenko, Boise Police.
Steve Walker, State of Idaho Department of Administration, Security Manager.
Paul Navarro, Capitol Mall Facilities Manager.
Rachel Holford, City of Boise Emergency Preparedness.
Kelly Frank, City Clerk's Office.
And Ed, do we have you online?
You do. Hi, Ed Graves, Public Works.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, first event, and the way we typically do these is we ask the event organizers to just go through the event and try to touch on all the major pieces that the different agencies cover. And after your presentation, we'll go around the table in exactly the same way and see if folks have any questions or additional needs. So first up is 2002 Sip and Frolic. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Oh, Richard Davey. There we go. Rookie. This is my second year presenting. We changed the name of the event to the Boise Sip and Frolic from the Firkin Frolic. It's a Rotary Club, the downtown chapter's main fundraiser. The reason the name has changed is a Firkin is actually a specialty beer keg, and this is not just a beer event this year. It's going to be a wine, beer, and hopefully cider event. It's our general fundraiser, so it's not just one specific cause. It goes to local scholarships. We do some park cleanup. We do some projects at low-income schools. That's mainly where the money will go. And I was going to go over the big changes from last year's event, which went off fairly well. There were some last-minute kind of fires to put out, figurative fires. But the big changes to this year's event are we're going to have an actual stage for music, which will help with emergency announcements if need be, and a real PA system. We're going to have the entire block fenced off. Last year it was a partial block off because we do anticipate a larger attendance this year because of the fact that people are a little bit less cautious now with COVID and outdoor events. Last year was about 350 people. This year I'm hoping we hit 650 so that we raise a meaningful amount of money, maybe 600, probably being ambitious there. Like I said, there's a larger beverage offering, and let's see. And the biggest, I guess, logistical change would be last year we had some cars and this was totally my fault, that ended up being parked on the block all day. And I guess it's people who just are fine getting a parking ticket every day instead of paying for parking. Our plan this year is to block off the entrance and exit to the Bass Block at 9:30 on Thursday night, August 25th. With signage that's very clear saying, hey, if your car's stuck in here, you can move these really lightweight barricades to get out, put them back, please. And do not enter from this point forward because your car could be towed. So that should prevent any issues with cars being left on the block. I included in the presentation, that's probably the best page to pull up is the schematic. Just so you guys can have a visual. It's this Exhibit A. I probably should have put a page number. Thank you. There it is. How do I scroll down? There we go. So our plan is to have everyone enter through the Capitol Street entrance. We're going to have it nice and tight for ID checking. Everybody will get a bracelet so that they are controlled going in, only 21 and over. We will also keep, it's kind of hard to tell there, but the red dotted line will be inside the sidewalk entrances so that businesses like Bardney will still be able to function well and have people get through the street without having to come inside the event. On the far side, because no one likes to be near the porta potties, will be the porta potties and hand washing stations. We also put it there because the Basque Center has offered to make their bathrooms available to us. So from a sanitation standpoint, we did add one more porta potty. One is ADA accessible, and then we also have access to those additional bathrooms. So last year was more than enough. And this year we're just being safe and going a little bigger on security and sanitation to hopefully accommodate a larger event if we pull it off. Let me go back to just the various departments. So that's basically the parking. We don't anticipate any road closures other than the Basque block or any other parking shutdowns. From a security and emergency preparedness standpoint, we have Signal 88 security coming again. They did a great job, I thought, last year. We're adding officers. And we've talked to the Boise PD about and signed a contract for 2 Boise PD officers to be on site during the event. We have a medical table that'll have 2 people with medical history, at least at all times, with an AED machine and first aid kits. The block will have, the barricades will block the block, but they're very lightweight. And if there's ever an emergency, we should be able to get a fire truck and an ambulance if need be down the block very quickly. So that would be the access issues. From a trash and recycling standpoint. There's metal cups that we'll be using, so there won't be any glass breakage issues or plastic cups there. They get to take them home, so that's pretty easy. And the trash, we have a non-scheduled pickup set up with the Basque Center's dumpster, so that should be pretty good. And last year, I honestly did not participate, but the city's trash cans were used and emptied. And if it's possible to do that again this year, we would love that. Otherwise, we would bring cardboard, kind of like moving boxes lined for any disposable waste coming from probably the food trucks would be the only area. Let's see. Entertainment, I went over that briefly, but we do have a PA system set up and a stage. It's going to be at the mouth of the BII parking lot, which we've rented for the day. So that's that green box. It's kind of hard to see. 8 by 12 foot stage, and with a skirt around it, it's only going to be 2 feet high. So it shouldn't be dangerous to people falling off or having something big fall down. There will be a banner behind it, but no canopy, just so you know what's going on with that. The insurance is already in place for the event. We have not done our community notification yet with the DBA, just waiting until we're a little bit closer, but that'll be coming up in the next few days and all the paperwork's been submitted. The outstanding paperwork is the permits for the mobile food and beverage and alcohol, which I've been told will be finalized in the next few days by David Arkush, who's an attorney that does a lot of this stuff, and he helped us last year. So those are the big items. I don't know if we want to go around and drill me. I'm ready. I hope.
Thank you. You did great.
Thank you.
Couple things. One question that I have about the porta potties, is one of those going to be ADA?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then I know it's music to Ed's ears that you're using steel cups. So thank you for that. And it supports our climate goals. So we're always appreciative when event organizers are being thoughtful about those kinds of things. Let's start with you, John.
Do you plan on impinging on the sidewalks at all? You're going to restrict access?
No. So I didn't do a very good job of showing where the sidewalks were because the map changed on Google Maps this year, but the trees kind of hide where the line is. But our plan is to have the fencing on the exterior of kind of that gutter on the street so that there's plenty of room. Definitely a lot of room on the south side of the block. And then on the north side, it's a little narrower, but still walkway access.
And you're coordinating with the Bass Block for their barricades?
Correct.
Okay.
Richard, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for working with me over the last few weeks to get everything set up. So I'm good with that. Appreciate it. You mentioned the city cans use, I believe that's a downtown Boise Association deal, isn't it? Is it not? Is it Ed? Okay. So I'll kind of save that for Ed. But if you do decide that you need more boxes, reach out to me and we'll get that squared away.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Hey, Richard, thanks for taking my calls and emails, and I appreciate you working with me. We're set on parking. Everything is outlined and we're set to go for you, so we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're good on our end.
Nothing from us.
Thanks. So last year we didn't, Boise Fire did not require you to get a separate special events permit for this. I just want you to be aware as you grow, you start to add things to this event that we probably will end up requiring that. I'm not going to require it this year, but just be aware as you get bigger that might be a requirement. We have had some email exchanges and been playing phone tag, but I have seen your communications. You have 2 food trucks coming, Connecticut and Coned. Just make sure they have their fire department inspections. The sticker's blue this year. If they don't have that sticker, please turn them away because we will turn them away. You explained your stage is only an 8 by 12. How many exits are you going to have within the fencing?
So we have each end, and then if you require it, we can definitely add a third. I was thinking about if you look at I don't know if you can see it here, but the right side of where the music's facing, if you're on the stage looking left, we could put an exit right there on the south side of the block at the very end of where the beverage tables are for emergency and or for beverage vendors to come in and out.
Yeah, let's do that. I'd like at least 3 exits there. And then when you put up your perimeter fence, just be aware that, there's businesses there. It sounds like you're already coordinating that.
Yeah.
When they come out of the businesses, they have to have access to a public way. So not just, be aware of the door, but also their access out of the basket block as well.
Okay.
Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I saw your medical plan that you submitted and it looks appropriate for the amount of people you're expecting. So I have nothing further.
Hi, so the fencing that you have here on the diagram, 3 feet high to adult containment, and you have enough fencing for the whole block that you want?
Oh, that was the issue last year. I thought I had confirmed in this schematic how much fencing we needed. And we were only 2/3 of the block was covered. So we had to condense the event. Luckily, the turnout was small enough. With 350, we could do it. This year, I've hammered it home like 50 times that we need the whole block fenced off. So we should be good to go.
That's all the only question I had.
It's that white beer garden fencing, 3 foot. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.
We have nothing.
Nothing.
First, I just want to say thank you so much for reaching out in advance and sending over all your plans. And I know we had discussions over email. You did a great job. Thank you for putting it all together and listening to our feedback from last time. I have no additional questions. Just if anything changes with the footprint, let us know so we can share that with all the responders that may need to come down there.
Thank you.
Yeah, and same here. Thanks for planning ahead. With DBA being absent today, we'll just make sure that we get in touch with them or keep me on your communication.
Okay.
Obviously, the business interiors parking lot only exits out into your footprint. So we need to make sure that those folks know ahead of time. You obviously did learn a few lessons with the food trucks at the last minute. And like you said, people parking more than an hour in the 1 hour designated only. So yeah, thanks for fixing the few things. I hope the event is bigger and better and continues to grow for you guys because it is great. So
thank you. Please all come too. Can I say that?
Ed, anything?
Yeah, thank you. Just super quick. So Richard, you did write in for the application to borrow a couple of trash boxes and recycling containers, like 6 of each. So is that something you still like to do then?
That would be wonderful if we could.
Okay. Okay, perfect. And yes, thanks for the steel cups. That is great. Really appreciate that. Sorry, I'm just reading my notes quickly. Yes, also on the application, the event low waste guide was not checked. Do you mind going back and electronically distributing that to all vendors? It just helps them, helps to basically just create less waste on their end and for the public.
Absolutely.
But thank you. But other than that, that's all I've got, and we'll get you set up. Thank you.
Maria.
Leslie with BRT is online also.
Oh, terrific. Leslie, do you have anything?
Nothing from us. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Thanks so much. Simple, easy, great presentation. Looking forward to the event.
Thank you.
Thanks. Up next is Boise Goat Head. And thanks everyone also for using the mics. It's the way that the system picks up what we're saying. Welcome back. One of Boise's favorite events.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. My name is Mindy Hoskins. I'm the Event and Outreach Manager at Boise Bicycle Project. Thank you for having me for my second year in a row. Very excited. I brought a few guests as well.
I'm Kylie Bolin from Lost Grove Brewing. We'll be doing the alcohol at the event.
Benton Smith with Boise Bicycle Project. I'm the volunteer manager.
Yeah, and Jimmy Hollyburn, the director of the event, and I am wearing my Boise Bicycle Project name tag today, so we'll keep it at Jimmy.
Perfect. We'll go ahead and get started. Does this slide? Perfect. So as we all know, this is going to be the 5th year of the Boise Goat Head Festival, a super fun, great family-friendly event. We start with a bicycle parade, and then we end up back at Cecil D. Andrus Park downtown. We'll be bringing in anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 people into the downtown area. And then leading up to the event, we are in the process of eradicating goat heads in the community. So our goal this year is 10,000 pounds. We're really excited about that. If anyone's interested in volunteering every Thursday morning with Martha from the city. So we are looking at Saturday, August 27th this year, our regular 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., Cecil D. Andrus Park. We're going to have 5 food trucks this year, Stella's Ice Cream, and then 10 to 15 local nonprofits and other vendors. This year, which will obviously have more discussion, we're looking to extend the parade a few blocks in each direction. So it'll be Jefferson and Bannock as always. We're looking to go all the way down to 18th Street and then 1 block over to 3rd Street. And we can zoom in on that and look at it a little bit more. Our traffic plan from Northwest Traffic Services. So there's 7 or 8 slides here that will just go through each intersection. I'm sure John, if you'd like these emailed straight to you, I can do that as well. And you can take a little bit closer of a look at those. The big notes here are just we are going to have 4 intersections that are going to be soft closes instead of hard closes for the parade. So leading up until bicycles are actually coming through, those cars will be able to get through. And that was, I have notes because I can't see that far away. Do you remember those intersections, Jimmy, off the top of your head?
15th, 16th, 5th, and 3rd.
15th, 16th, 5th, and 3rd will all be soft closes leading up until bikes are coming through. And then if there's any other specific questions on those, let me know. But I think to most of us, this is all looks like little traffic signs. Oh yeah, there it is. Security for, I think every year we've had MAV security helping us with the festival. We'll have 2 overnight security guards starting at roughly 8 p.m. and then they'll be there until 8:30 a.m. and then there'll be 7 additional guards. There will be 1 at each entrance and exit, 2, and then I think the site map is in the corner, but each entrances are on the Capitol side, and then there's 4 exits. So you can get out at every corner of the park, but you can only get in at 2, and there will be a security guard at each one of those. And then the additional security guards will be floating throughout the event. Oh, there it is. So you can see the entrances and exits there. We have the porta potties listed. The only big major changes for the event this year is that we'll be extending the fencing the morning of the event into that arm of Capitol closest to the park. But we have additional fencing planned for that, and security knows as well. And then Kylie can go over the alcohol since she's covering the alcohol permit.
So like Mindy mentioned, I think there'll actually be 8 hired security during the event, plus the supervisor. So they will monitor entrances and exits for us. And then all Lost Grove staff is tip certified, and they'll be focusing more on the wristbanding. And then we have basically 3, like 2.5 bar service areas. We'll have the one major bar where it kind of always is along Bannock. And then kind of right kitty corner next to it, we wanted to do like a special like barrel age tasting and do some kind of fun special beers at that one. And then we'll have a second just can only bar across from the big bar just to kind of spread out lines and everything. So each one of those bars will have at least 2 to 3 Lost Grove employees managing those. And then we will have volunteers that will be handing out cans and pouring beer with at least 30% of those tip certified. But we'll have every bar will have 2 to 3 Lost Grove staff actually managing and overseeing those volunteers. We will have wristbanders around all the bars. We found in past that having them at entrances and exits is we don't catch as many as if we're just getting them. We wristband at the token station, so they won't be sold any tokens until they're wristbanded. And then there's staff at all the bars wristbanding people in line. So nobody will be handed drinks unless they age has been verified and they have a 21 plus wristband. And then I think you go over the next one, but just, too, we will be doing draft in cans, but you only get draft if you bring your own cup or purchase a cup. And then if you didn't bring a cup, then you just have to buy a can as the option. So there'll be no plastic cups. And I think that covers my stuff. Yeah. And fencing we have all set up and yep.
Thanks, Kylie. So the neighborhood notification, if we're waiting for the go ahead from John and the team before we do any neighborhood notification for the extension of the parade. But our goal this year is to really extensify that because we are going to be kind of getting closer to the neighborhoods. So we will make sure that we get a sign off and that every single person in the neighborhood will be notified that for that roughly 15 minutes on that Saturday morning, if they're parked on the street, they won't be able to move their vehicle. And then obviously all of the downtown businesses will be notified as well. As far as parking and meters, I've been talking with Vince and those have been paid for as of yesterday. And so surrounding the park for the day of, those are all be closed down. 6th Street will be metered or hooded for the Friday so that we can set up. And then there's 1 dumpster, or there's 2 dumpsters on 6th Street that I have for Friday through Monday. And then trash and recycling, again, the dumpster will have a 20-yard dumpster and a 20-yard recycling bin that will be placed on 6th Street on Friday. We already have the ACHD permit for that. That'll get taped up on there. And then Conrad and Republic Services will take it away on Monday. And then volunteers will be stationed at each trash and recycling bin to make sure that everything's getting sorted properly. And then obviously shifting over and emptying cans as need be. We'll have an info tent as of always that will be right next to the entrance. We have our same first aid tent that we have had for all 5 years with Megan and Tom Simic that volunteer their time and offer their services for the event. The info tent will also be the lost child area, and then we'll have a volunteer check-in area as well. That's us.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. And thanks for no plastics again at this event. That's great. Let's go around the room. I think the biggest point of conversation is going to be the extended parade route, but we may have a good solution for that. John, we'll start with you.
Number 1 is the extended parade route. I have not seen the traffic control plan, but this is going to require detours over to Avenue B And depending on how the traffic control is set up, it's going to bring in the Idaho Transportation Department, because Avenue B, depending on where you are, is part of Broadway, and that's ITD. The Western Detour is either going to be 23rd or 27th. Neither of them are great routes, but 23rd probably is more neighborhoodly than 27th Street is. And so that's something for us to consider. Certainly ACHD can make either work with traffic control. Ultimately, this is going to be a city decision. And one word of caution is going to be that, and I've expressed this to Jimmy and under both of his hats, but if you do it for one, you have to be prepared to do it for everyone. So this may mean that the parade route now is a very long parade route into the West Boise downtown neighborhood. So we're now extending a parade route into a neighborhood.
So one option that we thought of that we wanted to propose, and John, I'd like to hear your thoughts about it, and then obviously you all as well. So what about, would you be open to 4th to 14th? That leaves 3rd open, 15th and 16th open, which are, I think, the major north-south. I mean, they're probably not officially arterials, but at least that opens up that north-south a little bit more. And I think is less of a, I do think we are going to be evaluating parade routes generally, like as we grow and as our downtown continues to change. But that is one possible solution we thought of. John, I don't know how you would feel about that.
We would absolutely be open to that. That is the parade route I think that we've done before the past every year except for the 2020. And so I think that that's the same parade route that we've done several different times. And again, trying to avoid 15th, 16th and some of those extra blocks. And we would certainly be on board if that's our choice of, options. I think one thing that we would also be willing to explore too would be if we couldn't go all the way to 3rd as far as extending that detour all the way over to Broadway, we could always cut it short on 4th, still try to extend it on the west end, and then there'd be a little bit less complications. One thing that we're doing this year that we haven't done before in the past to kind of take some of those crossings into account is on those streets that we have the soft closures. Those streets were closed down from, I think, almost 8 o'clock in the morning until about 11:30 or noon once the parade was over. And so for those key intersections, 15th, 16th, 5th and 3rd, we actually would be keeping those open and having people doing traffic control and allowing traffic to go all the way through until the parade was going. The parade lasts about a total of 20 minutes from the beginning all the way to the end of the group. Now on the west end, especially, it's crossing twice. So it's coming back on 15th and 16th twice. And so there's probably closer to a half an hour where those streets would have to be closed completely. But after the parade left at that point, we would reopen those streets. And so the closure wouldn't be as long lasting. So that's something to take into consideration as well. And so, yes, I think any of those options would be great. If we wanted to keep it the old parade route, happy to do that. My suggestion would be, even if we do that, it may make sense to still do some of those soft closures so that we're not impeding traffic for as long period of a time, because we don't want to do that. If we weren't able to do the full extension, potentially considering cutting it short on 4th, so we didn't do 3rd and kind of extending it on that other side. And then if we can figure out a larger solution, I think any of those really work for us. And we understand that if we were to do this, or if the city was to approve it, that we are sort of opening the doors for stuff like this to happen in the future. And the conversation that we had on the phone was that might look along the lines of not necessarily directing vehicle traffic through neighborhoods, but if we were looking at larger open street style events, pedestrian, bicycle only. And so I don't know that it opens up the full gamut, but it certainly does open up that discussion. I think that's a very, very fair point to make, John.
I think the shorter parade route, going back to what the original one would be the optimal for us. One option that we might be able to explore is allowing the event to extend down a little bit or up. We can play with that along the 4th and 5th Street corridor, so they can make like a little hammerhead and extend an extra block or two through there. That's going to require some additional traffic control and probably not volunteers, but more police or hard closures. But that might be able to give you an opportunity to extend it an extra block or two.
Yeah, I think we're open to whatever we might be able to do to extend it. And the reason why we want to is that those are the biggest requests that we get every single year from participants, is that they wish that the parade route was a little bit longer. I think that it goes back to Tour de Fat, where we were looking at a parade route that was almost twice as long, covering kind of a much weirder sort of area of the city that we were trying to navigate. And we love the fact that we can just go up and down and through downtown Boise, but it is shorter than it's been before in the past. So even, an extra block here, an extra block there, sort of adds 2 extra blocks because you got to come back on it. And we would love to explore that. For any of those soft closures that are there in those more major intersections, we'd also be working with REACT. So we would have our volunteers staged at all of the intersections, but the professional REACT positions would be at some of those key intersections. But I think, John, whatever you and the rest of the city decide you think would work, we're open to the full gamut. It's our hope to be able to expand it a little bit. But if we have what we had last year, we're still going to be really happy with it.
You ever thought about Homer Road?
I grew up on Homer Road. Homer out by Eagle. I don't know that would be a good route for us.
I think that would be a conversation we could have offline with the city, the police, and ACHD.
Yep, that makes sense. Thanks, you guys.
Good morning. Mindy, I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with you last few weeks, and it's been probably 2 years now. So great to work with. And for this, I have everything that I need from you. So you're good to go. I just have to take care of some things on my end. That's why I haven't signed off, but you're all set. Thank you.
Mindy, thanks for coming in yesterday and reserving the meters that you need for the current route that we have. I appreciate all the emails and also taking my phone calls to explaining stuff to me. So I appreciate everything. We're set to go on parking as we stand right now. Thank you.
Hi, you sent me your insurance. I haven't had a chance to review it yet, but if I have any questions, I'll get back to you.
Hi, guys. You guys do such a good job, and the parks are so appreciative of you guys doing your volunteer work on the side with Go Ahead. So we need that help. I have everything that I need. If you guys need anything from me, just let me know and we'll make it happen.
Summer, I think one of the things that we just wanted to kind of check in on, we know that I think it was mainly the first year in the past, some issues with the grass and the bars and stuff like that. We want to make sure that we're doing that really well. So if there's anything in addition that you need us to do for the grass and the bars, that would be great. We are moving the bike riding that took place inside the park onto the paved street and adding some kind of cooling water features for the kids since it's going to be hot outside. But that's kind of the goal, is to get more bikes off the grass and try to do minimal damage to the park.
Yeah, the first year that we moved over to the park and it was in that shady area, when you guys had a really extensive beer lineup, which I loved, but it was just a lot because of the pour off. And so we can work on it. But Kylie's team does the events in the parks all the time and they have it dialed in. So that is good. The cooling features, let's talk more about that when you guys know what they look like, because we have pretty strict rules about the different water systems that go into the parks that we allow for special events. So before you do it or buy it or rent it, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And it'll be pretty similar to what we did last year with the on-street stuff and like the bike car wash that kids rode through on their bikes on the road. Yeah.
On the road.
Yeah, there would be no water there. It would be like misters on the road, similar to last year.
On the road. Great. Thanks.
Good morning, Minnie. Thank you for the presentation. Looks like you already applied for your special events permit, so that's good. The food trucks, I think you heard me talking about that with the previous event. We just request that when you line them up there on Bannock, make sure there's 10 feet, make sure they're 10 feet apart in between food trucks. That would be great. And then, of course, check to make sure they have their blue stickers, verify that before the event date, that these food trucks that have the capability of cooking with grease laden vapors have their fire department inspections. Okay.
Do you want me to send those to you ahead of time? I've
Yes,
been having
please.
them. Perfect.
Yes.
I'll get those over to
That
you.
would be great. And, just make sure all the tents are adequately weighted down. That's kind of a common thing that we see with these events, not adequately weighted down. The stage is 8 by 12. Is that correct?
So we'll be using the Downtown Boise Association
Okay.
stage on the 6th Street side.
Okay.
And then we'll also have our normal pedal powered stage, which will be on the Capitol Street
Okay. And that's
side.
the same size it's been in years past, is identical.
Really?
Okay. And then the other thing to be aware of is on Bannock, when people are unloading there, just make sure they don't double park there and block the emergency access lane there. But you guys do a good job of that anyway. So that's all I have.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I got your medical plan. It looks good for the attendance anticipated this year. One thing I would note is let's watch the attendance, see how many we have this year as your event grows, which is amazing. We're going to get to a point where we'll want to have a standby unit there as those numbers go up in attendance. So we'll watch that for next year. But other than that, it looks great.
Hi, guys. Thanks for the communication up front with all this stuff. Probably good with the alcohol plan. We'll sign off on that permit when it comes through. The email about staffing, I think we'll wait to hear about the parade route to determine the proper staffing for the motor unit. How did you feel about the 12 o'clock start time for the folks inside the festival grounds itself? Is that something you'd be willing to go with?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we're hoping to explore, the having the police officers down there is one of our largest expenses for the festival and for the parade. We 100% understand and appreciate all the help there. It's pretty great to have you down. This year we do have bike registration that we're partnering with BPD that's going to be down there all day as well. And we've got MAV security. And so we just wanted to open the conversation about if there's an ability to bring in extra paid security and not have to put as big of a burden on the police department. And so we don't need an answer to that right now, but that's kind of one of the things that we're looking at. Otherwise, I think we're 100% good to go.
Okay. Yeah. Just for your knowledge, the staffing, we have a soft matrix online that we try to use for staffing events. The biggest concern is we're trying not to use on-duty resources to respond to events. And so when we have a gathering of 5,000 to 6,000 folks, the potential for, much like with paramedics, is to have calls for service come in. And so we're trying to mitigate needing to use on-duty resources and then having folks right there immediately available to address those concerns. So a larger discussion we can have, but I think right now we'll probably just go with what we did last year and the 12 o'clock start time, and we'll send you over the staffing agreement.
Yep, sounds great.
All right.
Thank you. And we saw that you reserved the south steps of the Capitol and that no special equipment needed, nothing at all. You're just reserving it for the event. Okay. That's all I need.
That was my concern too. Do you need anything from us from the Capitol building? No, Capitol Annex, Bora Building, Studenberg Park.
No, in the past couple of years, we've actually done some of the announcements from the Capitol steps and used some of the speakers and stuff from there. This year, we're actually going to be doing it from the street. We felt like the Capitol steps have received enough action this year as far as events and speaking. And so we want to make sure that that area isn't being used by anybody else and that we're not, stepping into somebody else's event that they've got on there. But for the most part, other than people lining up on the street and potentially on the steps a little bit right there, I don't think that we need anything.
Nothing else like Studenberg Park, Bora, nothing. Okay, cool.
I don't know. We don't, because we're doing bike parking along the side. In years past, we did bike parking in that center strip. And I believe that this year our bike parking is all along Jefferson Street.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Well, thank you guys. Appreciate the conversations that you continue to have with us as we discuss what we need to do and kind of work through some of those questions. For us, really just trying to figure out what that parade is going to look like, get that route done with the traffic control plan and what resources will be working. Then we'll share that with all of the responders that may need to come down there so that they have that in advance. We will want to schedule a walkthrough with you the day of, close to the time everything is set up, just to ensure everything is in place down at the park. It usually takes about 30 minutes. We've done it in the past with you all, and we'll just kind of walk that area with you. So I'll just reach out and make sure that we can get that scheduled. Thanks.
Thank you. I don't need anything right now, but I'm available to help facilitate meetings or anything that you need. So appreciate the communication.
We will start with Andre from Downtown Boise Association.
Good morning, everyone. I saw the application come in, so I just need a community notification form from you guys, and we can talk more about that offline. And I think I'm going to see you guys later this afternoon anyways. So that's really all I need from you guys, is just make sure we notify all of those neighbors and businesses that this awesome event's coming back. So.
Thanks, Andre. Ed?
All right, thank you. Just a quick clarification on the application as far as checking out for trash boxes and recycling bins, you put NA. Your presentation said 10 of each. Do you need to borrow equipment or do you have your own?
We'll be borrowing the trash cans from Lost Grove Brewing, so we won't need any from you. Thank you.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great. Do you need any signage for recycling bins there just to help the folks, even though I know you'll have volunteers, which is great, but.
Yeah, we will, I think, need the recycling bins because we returned all the ones that we had been hoarding for a while. So, so I think we should rent the 10 recycling, but we have like the big tub trash cans, which work a little bit better. So we'll bring trash, but if we could have the yellow recycling, 10 of those, that would be awesome.
And probably signage.
Yeah, and signage would be great.
Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah, so I'll plan for the 10 recycling bins and the signs. And yeah, thank you again for the no plastic, no, single-use cups. So that's always awesome. But that's all I've got. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ed. Leslie?
I'll just need to know what that finalized route is so we know what we need to do with bus detours.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Mindy. Great job. I can relate to how nerve-wracking it is to be on the spot in front of your boss. You guys are good to go. You can stay and watch or get on with your day. Up to you. All right. Spirit of Boise, welcome to the podium. Podium, desk, front. Another favorite Boise event? Boise loves events. I was talking to somebody the other day about like what makes Boise so special. And I was like, Boise enjoys its amenities, events, restaurants, access to culture, but we have so many iconic events. It's getting hard to name just one. That's fair. Totally fair.
Hi, everyone. Mike Owens, Town Square Media.
Pete Melson.
Andy Clements, Town Square Media. Seems like I've been emailing everybody like the last couple months to go over this. So we'll go over the presentation, just the overall event. Then we'll start with the morning lunches and then go to the Friday night glow. This year it'll be August 31st through Sunday, November 4th. So every morning lunch, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. with mat security in place at 5 a.m. to make sure that they can people can park right by Americana on those two parking lots. And then over off Royal, those parking lots along the roadway there, but we'll have mat security in place the whole time, so we won't let people in after we're full. For the entire event, not much of it is going to change over the years. We are going to add one thing. I've talked to most of you about it, but we're going to do like I said, the morning launch, and then on Friday night we're going to do the night glow with the same format. Maybe change the music up a little bit, but we're going to add a drone show, and so it'll be the last 10 minutes of the actual lighting of the balloons. And the concept will be to have all kinds of images about Boise and Idaho. So it'll almost like you're flying through the city and, see the city depot, the Capitol, that type of stuff, and then maybe some stuff with Idaho. And what's nice about this, it actually looks like things are moving in the air. So like you'd have a fish and it looks like it's actually swimming in the air. So it'll be pretty cool to be able to do that. We're not going to run promos over the air, let everybody know about it. Obviously, they can listen to this and hear about it, but it'll be kind of a surprise that we're going to do. We've got approval with FAA and hopefully approval from you guys to do this. It's like 9.5 minutes is what will happen. And do you want to, yeah, let's see here. Switch to that's just overall overview. Let's just go to the morning launch and we'll talk about that. Like I said, it's we'll close off the roads or the park at 5 a.m. where they can, I guess not close off the park, but have MAV security in place at 5 a.m. To make sure we can direct traffic over off Americana and Royal. And then at 7 a.m. is when they light the balloon or get the balloons all ready. And then obviously if the wind's in place, then we can launch. Last year we had 5 out of 5 days that we launched, which is nice, but real expensive with propane. But we're hoping we can do that again. Wednesday will be Kids Day, so there's no launches. It's just tether balloons. We're running promos right now about that. And then Thursday through Sunday will be, hopefully we launch every morning. For porta potties, we switched companies to Rocky Mountain Portable. I use them for Idaho's largest garage sale and Boise Music Festival, and they're a locally owned company and did a really good job for us. So I've got I think 50 units ordered, and they'll deliver those on Tuesday. Other than that, in the morning, it's the tents are set up the same. We'll have some sponsors in the morning they'll have breakfast, and we'll have probably around 32 balloons on Thursday. Friday we'll have 50, and then I think 54, 55 Saturday and Sunday. Some of the shapes, I think we got a sloth this year. We've got a upside down cow. I think we got a frog. So we've got some new stuff coming. So that'll be kind of fun. I think they might inflate Mickey as well. So that's for the morning launch. Anyone have any questions about the morning launch, or should I go into Friday?
Well, I think I had a request to talk about the morning launches and the overall event before we talk about Friday evening, just because they're a little bit unique with each other. Can we get the site map up? I think folks will want to probably look at that while we're asking questions.
Came through as a separate attachment.
Oh,
Here we go.
Great. Let's start with John.
Are you anticipating any public road closures for the event?
Friday, not really public because it's just the park that's closed off. So no, just Friday night alone. And I know we're talking about morning, but Friday night alone, I'd like to just no parking signs up in the neighborhood. But for the morning, no.
Okay. What about on Americana? Are you going to be restricting access to the park?
We're going to do the same thing we did last year, where we those 2 parking lots there are open, so people can come in and park there. But we'll have map security to direct traffic, but we won't be closing off that area just so they can't drive through the park.
Okay.
Mike, hello.
Hey.
Thanks for turning in your request yesterday.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. And we have 100, well, we don't. Boise Parks has 100 cardboard boxes waiting for you. So we're keeping those safe and secure.
Great.
My question here, I need a little clarification on the map. I've going through all these other maps and I'm a little conflicted on where the dumpsters are going. It looks like they're going to be in the parking by the river before you get to the fountain. Is that right? Because I see another location where you have dumpsters by the softball fields.
Yeah. So Andy, do you have a copy? So we have a copy where we place them at in the park.
Send over more detail, but yeah, it's in the horseshoe shape that's up there. And
Yeah, we have a more detailed map that'll show the exact placement of them. This one is the overall parking view, but it's close to where we have the food vendors in that area because that's where we get the majority of the trash. So we just have it closer. So it would be, actually, there's a little pull out right here. So we can send you over a copy of that that's got the exact location on it. There's a little curb cut out where we can slide it in there, and then we've got easy access to it.
Okay, yeah, that'd be appreciated. So I'll look forward to seeing that.
We'll send that today.
Great, thank you.
Mike, I think that you and I talked about the parking, that all the parking would be happening inside of the park itself and Morrison. But you mentioned something about no parking signs. Would that be anything outside of the park? Would that be like on Dale or Royal or anything like that?
Not over there.
You have the first one on Royal, but so that people know to turn around. So it'll be like the corner of Royal and Dale.
So go ahead and say that, Andy.
So the only spot that we'd be on a street is like right at the corner of Royal and Dale will be the first closure where we will let 88 through, but everyone else can then turn around and go find alternative parking.
Okay, so it's just a direction of, it's not really holding back parking, or is it holding back parking?
For the night glow, it will be holding back parking. For the morning, it will be allowing sponsors through.
Okay, do you guys have like some kind of mapping or something drawn out on that, or?
Right there. And then I have hard copies for anyone who needs ones afterwards as well.
All right. Well, I'll follow up with you so I can figure that part out. I just want to make sure that there's some time zones in that location. I just want to make sure that, people know that they're being restricted. And I want to have a better understanding of how long they're going to be restricted and open back up.
Now, we did put it in the plan for this year for Crescent Rim to have some no parking signs up this year. It did get congested last year, so we would like to restrict parking along that in the residential area.
Okay.
For Friday night only, but.
Okay, gotcha.
There's no official parking areas there, but people tend to pull off, so we just want to deter them from doing that.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, I'll reach out to you guys and we'll continue off of that. Okay, thank you.
Great.
For the drone show, we would like the operator's insurance.
Okay.
But otherwise, we're good.
Yes, it's called Sky Elements, and we put a request in them. I'm still waiting for their contract to get to me, and then that'll be in the contract that we all get additional insured.
Yep, perfect.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Thank you for doing this in two pieces. It's really helpful for us to talk about just the morning right now, and then just nighttime and when you guys present on that part. So for night glow, for the morning, I think the way we want to say it is that it's limiting through traffic. So everybody knows people can come into the park, but they can't drive through the park like a day to day. So I appreciate you guys doing that. I think keeping Americana open in the morning is great so that people can, come in and use the dog park still, and they can use the northwest corner. So I appreciate you guys letting people do that. I don't have questions for that other than in the horseshoe area. Are you going to let VIP or your sponsors get into that horseshoe area behind your chalets?
Just in the morning. Just in the morning. Yeah. And we don't get a lot that show up. They care about the night glow. So it's really limited. We will have mass security there, but we'd planned on doing that.
Okay.
And just so everyone knows, we have a new website too. So if you can look at it, and if we need to change some stuff or the wording, because sometimes when someone else builds it, they tend to not transfer everything over. So Andy has access to change it real quick.
I'll look at it and make sure, just so people know it's closed to through traffic, but they can still access it in the morning time. So,
okay.
Perfect. Morning is good. Thanks.
All right. Good morning. Everything looks pretty identical to last year. I see that you applied for a tent permit already. We're going to change that to a special events permit just because of the size of the celebration, just the same permit you did last year. So the other thing is who is setting up your tents, by the way?
So we set it up. It's Lighter Than Air America owns the pilot briefing tent, and that's the one that we get the inspection on. Our chalet tents that run on the side, we've got one of Idaho Tents does that. They have the fire extinguishers, all that sort of thing, but they're not completely closed in. So the only one that we've had to do in the past is that pilot briefing tent because of the size. So we'll have the electronic exit signs, the fire extinguishers, all that sort of thing, because it can close on four sides.
Okay, so we're going to, like I said, we'll do a special events permit, submit everything under that permit. I don't know which tent it was, but last year there was a large tent that was placed up against some fencing, like close, it was blocking one of the exits. So just make sure all of your tents, the exits aren't blocked and not placed up against. I don't know which one it was. The inspector.
Yeah, it might have been support behind that pilot briefing. We can move that so it's not in an exit area.
Okay. And then the fueling station, I want to talk about that a little bit. I think you sent in information about that last year. So I still have that on file, same size, same truck. And I think we established a 100-foot perimeter for that last time. So if we could maintain that this year again, that would be wonderful. Just keep smoking away, ignition sources out.
Absolutely. We'll have the barricades up, no smoking signs, all that sort of thing. And then the only difference that we'll have this year after the night glow event that we'll get to, that's going to be refueled offsite.
Okay. All right. And then just maintain emergency access during setup, during the event, after the event. I think we'll be good to go.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good morning, guys. So for the morning event, medical, we've already discussed it. We're good with that. We'll just utilize 911 because it's a small amount of people that come in quickly. Our biggest concern is the parking because, people try to come in quick to see those balloons. Make sure we have that ingress, egress available for for fire and EMS to be able to get in quickly if we need to for the morning. And then we'll discuss the others later.
Nothing for the morning part.
Hello, nothing on the morning stuff. I greatly appreciate you guys working on this and getting everything kind of solidified and running smoothly.
I don't have anything either.
Cool. Okay.
Andre?
Yes, so I do have a couple of things. I understand that this is in Ann Morrison, so it's a little outside of the downtown district. But we do have concerns in the past few years that got brought to our attention last year, and that is that there tends to be a large amount of parking that happens over in the Payette parking lot and in those adjacent corporate buildings there. And then people take that walk bridge over. If you guys could share with me your community notification flyer or however it is that you guys are sharing your message about the impact on the community, if you could share that with me and then reach out to Payette and some of those corporate buildings, I think that will help kind of mitigate some of those calls that we receive, about, hey, I have no parking for some of my employees, at 8 a.m. So that tends to be the only thing that comes up from this event. Other than that, it's a great event. We're lucky to have it.
Absolutely. We can share that letter with you and we hand deliver those notes.
That's perfect.
And then we also post on things like Nextdoor. We try to get as many, the message out as many ways as we possibly can. So we'll share that letter with you so you'll have a copy and we'll hand deliver those.
Andre, it's also on our website. It's on our website, and then we own 6 radio stations, so we run promos to go to the website. So we'll have it stay there as well.
Perfect. That's great. I will send you an email with that community notification form, and we'll just document, hey, I spoke to these people, and get a sign off, or just let me know that you did that, and we can go ahead and make sure we're crossing those T's.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Ed, anything on your end?
All of my comments deal with the entire event, so I can wait till the next round or whatever you prefer.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah. Okay.
And Leslie, anything on the mornings?
Nothing from us.
All right, let's move on to night glow.
Okay, so night glow, Friday 9/2 is when it'll be. We decided to close the entire park off at 11 a.m. With northwest traffic. So we'll have those all up. We'll have MAP security in place by noon to just make sure they can direct traffic and just post where we're going to need parking lots closed for the night glow. And then vendors will set up at between noon and 3. And so we'll have a strict hard line noon to 3. And then MAP security will, so you can see up there from noon to 3. I'm old, I can't read it. There we go. 2 MAP employees at the Royal Street entrance. They can direct either vendors in or turn traffic so they can't drive through the park. 1 MAP security at the Ann Morrison Drive entrance, and then 1 MAP security at the Americana. And Ann Morrison, that's where the softball field is, and that's where we'll have parking for our sponsors in ADA. So that's why we have them there, so we're not getting that parking lot filled up. And then obviously down on Americana, we'll direct traffic that way. That's from noon to 3. That's where the parking lots that we're going to utilize parking lots, and then for the night glow from 3 to 10:30. 3 MAV employees at the Royal entrance, where we can tell people to turn around. We'll have signage there, direct traffic that way. Also to let a number of ADA park in the Park and Rec parking lot or at the softball fields parking lot. A portion of those we're going to use for that. Then we're going to have 2 people on Americana just to direct traffic. Even though we promote that the park's closed, there'll still be some upset people. So I like to have at least 2 MAP people out there to let people know. And also if we need to let sponsor staff through and dog park access. And then we'll have one MAP person at the sponsor tent to let our VIPs in, and then 3 MAP employees roaming. Just to make sure that they can give the people breaks. Last year we had issues with COVID. We had 6 MAV people not show up, and it was a little chaotic. So I've met with MAV, made it 100% clear we need to overstaff and understaff and have people on call if we need to. I use them for the Boise Music Festival, and it was top notch. They did a heck of a job and have enough staff to cover everything for our plan. So that's 3 to 10 behind our tents in the roundabout. Nobody will be able to park there. We're asking after 3 o'clock that any of the extra cars for our vendors are in Candyland parking, and we'll watch that, and we'll make it clear and try to communicate with them in every way. There's always somebody that will try to park behind the tents, but we won't let anybody through there. All of our sponsors will park over by the softball fields, and we're going to try to give out way less tickets. So in case we have some overflow with ADA or anything like that, we can make sure we accommodate there. So the event really, I was surprised. I actually thought it went till 10 or 10:30. So we inflate the balloons at 8:10. And so it goes from 8:10 to 9:10. And the way we know that is our announcements and how we timed it out last year. So I think it'll take about an hour to clear the park out after that, but there won't be any sponsors parked behind there. So we can just be a safe, flow through. I've got 2 light towers ordered so we can make sure we turn those on and there's enough light out there. So, it should flow pretty good. We've got 29 food vendors. We have a band starts at 6 and ends at 8 over on the round grassy area. We are going to tilt the sound to kind of face the river a little bit, still within, the 0.08 decibel to make sure. But last year, for some reason, it was pointed towards the Park and Rec office and you couldn't hear over there. So we fixed that. Other than that, it'll be similar. We just some tweaks we had to make. Pete, you think of anything else we'd add?
Yeah, as far as the food vendors go, the majority of these we've used in other events. So we already know that they've got their blue sticker. They're ready to go for the ones that require it. There's roughly about 10% of them are stick booths, but they don't have any open vapor, any of that. They're serving things like lemonade and things like that. And their tents, they're not allowed to do any more than 2 10x10s next to each other that are the pop-ups. And they're open on all sides. So they're all compliant for that. For the parking for the nightclub, we've kind of set it up in stages from the morning launch through the middle of the day, the end of the day. What we do is at that 3 o'clock, the reason that we have a hard deadline is any vehicles that are inside at 3 o'clock, they do not move. So if it's a support vehicle for a food vendor that's parked behind that vehicle is in place and will not be moved until we give the all clear at the end of the event, that the park's cleared out and it's safe for them to come through, which will happen approximately sometime in between 10 and 10:30 p.m. So, and then as far as the road closures go, we are looking for the Nightglow portion, the Americana entrance, the left turn lane coming into Americana, because that will be cordoned off since we are not going to let any traffic through the park at that point. But that's in our plan from Northwest.
And John, I'll email you that plan as well. To keep track of the parking, we're going to do two different parking passes. We've got a yellow one that basically our sponsors can go over into the softball fields, and then in the morning launches come park behind, which again, they never use those. And then we'll have a different color for our vendors who are going to come in and set up for that Friday. And we'll send you the photos. I just didn't want to do it here because the public has access to it. And over the events that we've done, people find ways to copy them. Other than that, Andy, do you think anything else we can add to the?
I think that's the big highlights there.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. That's it.
All right, start with John.
I would strongly recommend that all of your vendor and VIP access come in on the Royal entrance. Do not use Americana, because once you start letting one person through, people are like lemmings. Everybody's going to want to get through that. And I'd really hate to see backup on Americana. You're right that you'll need to close the southbound left turn lane. You probably need to put a reader board for the northbound traffic, letting them know that the park entrance is closed. That way they can see that, and there's no arguing with MAV, and you just try to eliminate a large part of that. I'm going to need to see the temporary traffic control for Crescent Rim and how you're going to close that down and work with the neighborhood on notification for that.
I do have a question about tear down. The 100 event boxes. What's the plan for transporting those back to Republic Services?
So yeah, since Monday's a holiday, we typically get them back on Tuesday. I know some years in the past, because Art in the Park is the next weekend after the event, we've actually taken them down to the park to one of the maintenance building areas that they have down there. So if that's okay with you, we can get them back there on Tuesday and have them ready to go for what your needs are for Art in the Park.
I appreciate that. And maybe we can talk offline about Art in the Park's here right now. And I do have a plan for them and getting their boxes. But, maybe we can talk some offline about getting those. I just want to make sure that the plan isn't to throw them away.
No, just email me and we'll get them to wherever you need them.
Okay.
So Conrad, yeah, last year we got them to you. I had a promo director that was a little overwhelmed 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, I guess, because we skipped 2020. And I know they were wet and got lost, or whatever you want to call it. But we will get them back. Maybe we can ask Summer, we can store them there until Tuesday and then bring them over to you, or if there's a way to set them somewhere on Sunday midday or something like that, we can do that.
Okay. Now, I mean, if it takes till Tuesday, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Or I know in the past we've been short on boxes and couldn't fulfill the request at Art in the Park and had brought those over. I think that was even last year, and that worked. So we'll figure something out. I just want to make sure that we're thinking about it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And we do stage those near the pilot briefing tent. And, I don't think we've ever really said it in the past, but just to let you know too. So as the event progresses, from the morning launches into the night glow, so we strategically, have some that are stored in a dry area, and then we add more as the event goes on, because the crowd builds as the event goes on. So we kind of plan for that. So we don't have to empty all 100 when we don't need that for, just a few different items in there. And the other thing is when the wind pops up, which it always seems to every single year in one afternoon, we don't have to chase them all down either. So it's not that we're not using them and they're not getting used. We just strategically do it in stages as the event grows.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. They do grow legs and they will run with the wind.
Yep.
I'm good for right now. I'll just get with you guys in regards to that section on Dale and Royal. So we'll check out that stuff. Thank you.
We're good.
All right, I have a couple things. The verbiage that you use for the dog park, access will be open from 3 to 10:30. I like that you took it off of I think my letter from the 4th of July, but what you want to say is that the dog park is open and available, but the public will not be able to drive their vehicles in. So if people want to walk down, bike down, they want to use it, they'll need to, they won't be able to drive into the park when your closure is in place. So,
Put it on the website too, Andy.
and I'm going to scan through your website also after this, just so we can like, just tidy up those little things. So, so there's that. Thank you for the vendor stuff. I talked to Rance, your guys's food vendor organizer, and using Royal is huge because last year you guys did have some big trailers trying to come in on a road closure, and it's not a good look, one, and two, it's not safe, more importantly. So that is fine. My big question though, so the VIP, and we come to this every year, and I want this year to just like go off so great for you guys. On Friday night, your VIP passes, you're going to say I get a VIP pass and I have a yellow one and I've been using it Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm going in behind the tents, to the chalet. Then Friday comes in and I want to drive in at 5 p.m. Am I going to be let in?
No. So
Do they get that in a letter?
Oh yeah, it'll be clear. And then I'm asking salespeople to because we know how it goes. They'll assume and then things happen. And then we'll also, we put it in that plan, and then mass security, it'll be a card, like they will not be able to drive through.
Okay, because I just see that when it says MAV employees, I think I saw that. Anyways, I just want to make sure because I can understand that people would be confused, but we just do not want to say yes to the event permit if that's not addressed.
Yeah.
And agreed on that. Just Friday night.
Yeah.
We got to go softball fields.
Right. Yeah. It'll be very, very clear. And again, we'll communicate it in 3 different ways, and then there'll be 3 or 4 that didn't read it, and they'll be upset. And
Nope.
Yeah.
I understand, believe me. And then John, they don't want to close Crescent Rim. We were just talking about possibly doing the no parking signs to help alleviate that. But I think maybe PD will, or you guys don't have it. We're hoping that ACHD could help and maybe say no parking on Crescent Rim on Night Glow, but we could talk about it offline if you don't think it's needed. Just to help you on that. And Vince, they weren't actually planning on closing Dale. They're just talking about putting out signage for parking, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, we try to do it strategically in an area to leave them room to turn around. So we're not putting up, no parking for folks that are outside of the park area. It's just some signage to let them know that there's not parking in the park. And they'll have to park outside or turn around in those areas before they enter the park.
Okay, well, thank you.
And then, on the Crescent Rim, we do not want to close Crescent Rim. We're just discouraging parking in those areas that aren't really officially parking spots either.
Okay.
I think that's it from me. Sorry. You guys have been doing so great, like meeting with us and working through it. So I want to make sure everybody's on the same page today.
Yeah, thanks for helping clarify on those.
Yeah.
No additional comments from us. I think we're good. Thank you.
So just a couple things. So we've been going back and forth email wise regarding medical for Night Glow. Due to the anticipated numbers that you think will be there, just to reduce calls to service for the 911 system, we'll definitely want to have a standby unit there at least from 3 to 10:30 or until the park is empty, because that's when we tend to get a lot of calls, trips, stuff like that. So if you haven't found which unit you want to use or private service, I can send you a list of who's available to you.
Be great. I sent a request to Jonas. He never got back to me from the Boise PD. So maybe I'll send something to Jesse on the request. And I'd just like to see what the cost is, and we can figure out who we'd use for the mobile.
And I'll send you a list of the 3 privates also, if BPD isn't available to do that for you. So, or Boise Fire. But other than that, we'll need just the information once you get that, who you're going to use, and that medical form I sent to you guys.
Yeah.
So I think for the Night Glow, we're looking at the same plans last year, staffing with motors to help with the traffic control around the area, and then having a small BPD presence within the park itself due to the crowd size. So I don't think we've sent you over the staffing plan agreement, but we'll send that over to you so you guys can review that and sign off.
First, I just want to say thank you. I know how much you guys have done this year to address all the concerns that we had last year. So really do appreciate the fact that you did listen to that feedback and you've made amazing strides in figuring out how to resolve some of these. I am going to go ahead and schedule a full safety and security meeting with all of us just to run through all of the plans in detail. One of the things we're going to ask is that you bring MAV, whoever their supervisor is, it's going to be working that event. So we're all on the same page because we know that there was a bit of a disconnect. We just want to make sure that that doesn't happen this time. And then for Jonas, he's been on vacation. And so I'm following up on that part with fire operations to see about that staffing like we provided last year. So I will definitely let you know about that. So I apologize for the delay, and we'll obviously have that conversation with the rest of the team. And then after we get through all the plans and have them finalized, we'll want to schedule a walkthrough with your team.
And we kind of had that stuff right, August, I thought you sent a request to August 16th or 17th.
Maybe they all blend together. I'll double check. I'll double
Okay.
check, but thank
All
you.
right.
And again, really do appreciate everything. The discussions have been wonderful.
I did email back and forth with Rance at the end of June, just to ensure that he gets the vendor list to me as well. So I know that there's a lot of pieces to that with the Boise Fire stickers. There are a lot of returning vendors from the Boise Music Festival, but some of those, if they are from out of town, they don't require the City of Boise license. So if you have people from Nampa, Caldwell, even Garden City based, they'll need to make sure that they get those. Most of them have them, but there's always a few. So I'll work with him on that. And then just please make sure that Central District Health gets the list too. Thank you.
We'll have it to you by Friday. And Pete used to do all this for us, so he'll push Rance to do this. So, but he should have had them too, because we've got them all sold. They're all ready to go. So we'll get those to you.
Andre, anything else from you?
Just the same thing with communicating night glow to that impacted area on the north side of the river there. Again, they just get heavily used for parking. And then I apologize, guys. I need to jump off, get back to Alive After 5 things, but anything you need to work with me on, we can work offline on, and I look forward to the event. So thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Andre.
you.
Ed.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I guess Conrad already hinted to this, but I know in the past, when we get those trash boxes that, yes, you will take them to the Parks and Rec yard there, and it's Ted Kinney who we always coordinate with there. But sometimes in the past, they have shown up completely soaked, and cardboard that gets soaked. These aren't like lifetime boxes to begin with, so please, yeah, try to keep those as dry as you can. In the event that we either have to use them for art in the park or for another event, turn around and then use them there. So I would just ask again, yeah, try to keep those dry if you can. But myself, Conrad, Summer, and we will all work offline, and we'll make sure that we get all this equipment moved over as smoothly as possible. And just again, please, I know you checked the box, but definitely distribute electronically that low waste vendor guide to all the vendors, please. That's greatly appreciated from a climate perspective and a materials management low waste perspective. So I look forward to this event again. So thank you. That's all I've got.
Thanks, Ed. Leslie.
Nothing from us.
All right. Smooth as butter. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, thanks. Yes.
We'll chat with you at Safety and Security. Today, evidently, is the day of iconic Boise events. So next up, our final event presenter before I think we have an after action review, Art in the Park. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you. And I just wanted to be a little bit mindful. I apologize that everything's run a little bit over. We have the room until 11:30, and I know a lot of people have a hard stop. So since we already did the safety and security meeting, I'm confident that this will go quickly.
That's Kelly's way of saying, if you don't have anything, be brief about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. So this is the 68th year of Art in the Park, Boise's biggest art and craft festival, 3-day event. The first weekend after Labor Day every year. So this year, September 9, 10, and 11. We also feature music, food, and hands-on activities for children. We tend to anticipate about 250,000 people in the park over the 3 days. The hours of the event are 10 to 8 Friday and Saturday, and 10 to 5 on Sunday. Getting straight to the layout. We are so fortunate to be able to hold the event in beautiful Julia Davis Park. So we take great care to position artist booths in a way that maintains pathways, clear of utilities and of trees. So hence the fun configurations of artist booths that you see here. Food vendor locations are indicated by black dots, primarily around the perimeter of the park and roadways and parking stalls. CDH has been notified of event. Food vendor permit submissions are in process. Portable restrooms are indicated in 4 different sort of corral locations. There will be 2 accessible units, 1 near the children's art tent and 1 near the band shell. 3 welcome centers are placed at pathway entrances in the park. The BAM information booth is right next to the entrance to the Sculpture Garden pub. This is sort of our BAM staff headquarters, where we service lost children, vulnerable adult situations. This information booth is right next to the first aid station, which is injury care EMS. Also indicated on the map are 3 bike corrals, which also serve as scooter parking areas. Parking areas within the park are protected by security personnel for those with disabled permits. And that is clearly marked in the north parking lot there. I think you see the text that says large item loading area. Then our security plan, the schedule begins Wednesday, September 7, including park patrols overnight. They also deal with control of vehicle access within the park, thereby reserving parking areas for those with permits, monitoring the Sculpture Garden pub, so issuing wristbands to those with valid IDs, and ensuring general safety of the attendees and participants. Sculpture Garden pub hours are indicated there. 11 to 8 Friday and Saturday. And I believe that's incorrect on the slide, forgive me. It is 11 to 8 Friday and Saturday, and Sunday is 11 to 5. Craig Stein Beverage is providing beer and wine, but the pub is staffed by BAM, tip certified bartenders. Signal 88 Security is our security company, again, checking wristbands, checking IDs and issuing wristbands at the entrance. The one entrance is on the south side of the garden. The entire area is fenced. And then at the opposite end is an exit, clearly marked, no alcohol beyond this point. Then there you have that, tables scattered throughout the bar in the center area. Again, Injury Care is our EMS provider. They are staffing a 10 by 10 tent just next to the BAM information booth, along with an ambulance. So that's a setup, I think, from maybe 2019. That's going to be pretty identical to that. They will also have an ambulance in the parking area in the north. Then next slide is the accessibility plan. Again, 2 ADA portable restrooms available in the park, in addition to the existing park restrooms. Parking with disabled permit is available, and that parking lot is monitored by security staff.
Artists and vendors are provided with accessibility guidelines for their booths. New this year, we are scheduling volunteers to be sighted guides available for those with low vision or no vision. And then welcome centers and information booths, always staffed with individuals who can offer information to guests with disabilities. Another new feature this year, we're working with some consultants to create accessible event maps and other information. The trash and recycling plan, the details are here. Thank you very much to Republic, to Parks and Recreation, of course, Boise City Public Works, Ed, and then we're working with BSU Campus Sustainability for the recycling portion of it. We also staff our own BAM volunteers for recycling during the event. Our traffic plan, we instated a traffic plan last year that left the road open, Julie Davis Road, sort of the north that runs from Capitol to Myrtle, left that open to traffic, and that worked really well. We are limiting access to areas within the park indicated with those type 3 barricades. So there are 5, and those are all manned by security personnel. Parking and shuttles. Parking is always a challenge, so we're always looking for creative solutions. So parking within the park is limited to those with permits. Then we new this year are encouraging people to park in Ann Morrison Park. We've added a shuttle stop there. So public parking will be available in downtown parking garages on BSU campus in the Brady garage, and Boise Town Square Mall as always, free or at special rates. And then of course, again, shuttles running from those locations to the park. And that brings me to the end. There are just a couple of notes regarding entertainment. We will be using the band shelf for 2 bands Friday, 4 bands Saturday, and a couple of performing arts groups on Sunday. The exhibit, trade show, and special event permit application has been submitted for fire. And then community notification, as every year, we always reach out to our partners in the park. I make sure that they have everything they need, including parking access passes. Thank you very much. Thanks for your support.
Thank you. John.
So it was a little tough to tell. By the way, great event. My granddaughter and wife love spending my money at your event.
Thank you, John.
Looking at the temporary traffic control plan, it was a little difficult to tell. Are you going to have something on Capitol and or River Street?
No signage is planned for that intersection. The barricade is within the park, just sort of south of that entrance.
Just remember, if you need to do something there, you'll need a permit. And if you need to do anything out on Myrtle Street, that's going to require an ITD permit.
Okay, thank you.
And their planning factor is 45 to 60 days.
Thank you.
Hello again, Andrea. Yeah, we got most of this figured out at our June meeting. So we're all good to go there. But you might have heard in the previous presenter, we were talking about the event boxes. I just want to let you know my plan for Art in the Park is to bring you 200 event boxes, which will be picked up by Carl for Hyde Park afterwards. So the event boxes need to survive 2 major events. That's why I want to make sure you get new ones. But we do every day get people stopping in, picking up boxes for this and that, not necessarily a big event. And if we run out, the emergency plan would be to bring the 100 used boxes over and 100 new ones. Just making you aware, but right now the plan is to get you the 200 brand new ones.
Very nice, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Andrea, we're good with the parking. Thank you.
Thanks.
We're good on our end too. Thanks.
Thank you.
I have what I need right now. So thank you.
Thank you.
We're good as well. I think most of the issues were addressed in the safety and security meeting. So thank you.
Thank you, Jesse.
Same for medical. We're good.
Good as well. Thank you.
Just one quick comment, and it's a long one, but the state of Idaho does on the old Hewlett Packard campus on Chinden and Cloverdale, and there's 54 acres of parking. If you ever need to use it for a shuttle lot, we'd happily offer that to you. It's a little out of your range, but please keep us in mind. We'd love to partner with you.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll reach out.
Well, we've actually already had the safety and security meeting because she was way ahead of schedule, which was awesome. Thank you so much. You've answered all of our questions. The only follow-up items we had was to ensure we did the geofencing, which Kelly took care of for the scooters. So hopefully they will not be impeding your footprint. And then we'll just need to schedule that walkthrough with you, with the team. Outside of that, we're good to go. Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much.
I am going to mention, and then Leslie can reiterate for VRT that last year there was a few shuttles that were using the VRT spaces. We did get it rectified, but just a reminder to kind of help facilitate that so that doesn't overlap. And I have the vendor list and everything. I know there was a few that you were going to follow up on, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Ed.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Andrea. Yeah, we will work offline because I might need to kind of alter the recycling portion of this as far as the logistics of the bins. But I will get with you, Conrad, and Ari and Ted, and we'll make sure that this again goes smoothly. I do though for Conrad too, the contingency plan of those 100 boxes coming from Spirit of Boise. I just want to make sure, Conrad, when will you know if we can get the 200 for Art in the Park? Because what I don't want is those 100 boxes to get moved and they're still under basically the control of Spirit of Boise. And if they get moved to the Parks and Rec yard but are not needed, to make sure that they get moved, because I'm not going to move them. I doubt Ted is going to move them back to Republic. So just so we have a plan for as soon as we know if you can get the 200 new boxes, and if we do or do not need the 100 from Spirit of Boise, so we get that coordinated so they're not just sitting in Ted's Park and Rec yard taking up space. So, but that's all I've got. Thank you, Andrea. I will work with you offline and everything.
Great. I'll let you guys handle that offline.
Okay, thank you.
Leslie.
Good morning. Yeah, last year I know we talked after it kind of fell apart, but out at Town Square Mall, we talked about letting them use the west side of our transit island where the buses don't pull in. Is that still your plan for this year?
It is, and we took photos last year to be extra sure that we get those signage positioned in the right place.
Okay, are you going to put signs up on the transit island directing them to that sign, like A-frame signs or anything?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just have a supervisor out there that morning to make sure when it starts that they flow to the right area, and we'll help them if they need to.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you.
Super easy when the safety and security meeting is ahead of time.
Yes, thank you.
All right, that's our events, upcoming events. We have one after action review today, and I think we have Sandy from Idaho Potato Drops, so we'll invite you up. No Dylan today? So thanks so much for coming in, you guys. I think you've already gotten the after action memo and wanted to make sure that we were doing this at this meeting as well and making sure that we had all the players here, including the state, to have a conversation about your event. It's a really fun event on New Year's Eve. We consistently run into issues from a public safety perspective where we have this meeting, we talk really clearly and in depth about the expectations to make sure that we're keeping the community safe on what is a really, really busy night. And every year we have significant issues that happen. before, during, and potentially after the event. I think last year, one of the biggest was the lack of pre-information about some open fire. So it has been the practice of kind of collectively as a special events team, which is again an administrative function, it has been our practice to work as closely as possible with event organizers on the front end and the back end. It typically works really well. And over the course of events, getting longer term, we see fewer and fewer issues at the events. That's not been the case with this particular event. So to give you like a fair heads up as you're making decisions about the event and how to handle it, we are going to be paying a lot of attention and taking, I think, more official action if we see violations of the agreements that are made before this event. So just so that you're aware, if we see the same sort of level of inconsistency between what we have agreed to and what we've signed off on and what's actually happening at the event, we will start thinking about using citations or other kinds of official actions to address those inconsistencies, rather than just having kind of the kind after conversation about, hey, please don't do this again. Please don't do this again. I think we collectively feel like we have said, hey, please don't do this again a lot of times. So we are not at the point where, I don't think that we are yet at the point where we're saying, although I'm speaking right now for myself and not for some of the partner agencies that I cannot speak on behalf of, I don't think we're at the point where we're saying that we won't permit the event going forward. We are at the point, however, of saying, if we continue to see these major violations, we will in very real time deal with them in a more official capacity than just a conversation like this. So wanted you to have that kind of heads up and fair warning in advance. And with that, Kelly, what's the best way to handle after action? Just go around the room, or do you want to reiterate some of the key things from the memo?
We'll go ahead and pull up the memo and then, but still give everybody an opportunity just to speak if there's anything that needs addressed for improvement. So.
All right, so we had talked in the memo about several of these different pieces. I think first being traffic control, that the traffic control was not staged properly and started setting those up earlier than the agreed upon time. So that I think is one issue that we'll want to have a conversation about. Also fireworks. The zone fencing was not set up as presented or recommended. I think the state fire marshal is going to have a lot to say about that moving forward. And so we, at some point, are probably going to want you to have a conversation there as well to make sure that it's in compliance. I mean, there's a lot of really precious stuff right around that Capitol Mall area. And we, I think all would want to make sure that we're protecting that as well as the human beings that are participating in the event as much as humanly possible. Very, very substantial issue with the fire pits being set out in the event footprint that were not that could have shut your event down. I would just want to be really clear about that. This is not a situation where we're interested in apologies later. And this is very much a permission ahead of time because it's a public safety issue. So having open fire that Boise Fire had not pre-approved is a substantial issue. The COVID check location was not staffed, didn't have the required supplies. We were at that time under special events requirements specifically for COVID. We had long conversations with you about that. It was really disappointing to see you agree to that in a meeting and then not make sure that it was happening at the event. We try to be really, really good partners with our event organizers. I think you've seen everyone around this table go out of their way to like meet separately, figure out accommodations, try to be cooperative. And in return, we just ask for the same kind of like honest broker relationship back. That did not show that level of partnership. And on ADA accessibility, the sidewalks, the portable restrooms, pathways were not accessible for people with disabilities. Like, we just fundamentally cannot have events infringing on the rights of the folks that live, work, and play in Boise. And that includes folks who use adaptive technology. It is a federal requirement, and it's one that we take really seriously. We consider the Americans with Disabilities Act to be the floor of what we do for folks who live in Boise with disabilities. And we like to reach for the ceiling in our community. So these were some pretty substantial issues that we had, which is why we brought you before us today. So I don't know if you want to say something before we start going around the room, but we, I think, are going to want to hear from you any plans that you have going forward.
We're kind of looking at a few different ones. I reached out to John this year, people that he has an easy time working with, just so that we can ensure what we're telling you guys and what the people that we're paying to bring these things down, they're doing it to accordance to the permit. So he told us at, I think, 2:30 that Capitol and Idaho had been closed too early. By 2:35, our team had to move it, and then we just put it back because I couldn't speak for them. I reached out to them to just kind of get clarification on that one as to why they would do things different than what it was permitted, but I did not get a response back. So on that one's a hard one for me to tell you why that would be done. But all I know is that when the minute we knew there was a problem, we just fixed it internally as fast as possible. We did a really early walkthrough this year. So fireworks barricade was supposed to be staged by 3, and it was, but the walkthrough was at 1. So we hadn't had it all placed out yet. I did reach out to James. He wasn't able to make it here today, but he indicated that he did talk with fire and everything was good. So if there is notes on that, I do want to get that over to Fireworks America because they are the pyrotechs. They are the ones that set the barricade. And then they indicated to me that everything was good there. So this is my contractor that I'm checking in with, and that's what I was told. In terms of the fire barrels, I have talked to Idaho Tents about this. He knows he's a little out of practice with COVID and this event. We know that we can't use that product. We've always used overhead heaters. He had used them at the Grove for a Bliss event earlier that month. He took it upon himself to think that it would be okay. We know that it's not. So in that case, we just did whatever we could the day of to try to rectify the situation and make the best of it that we could. But it was just there. So, I mean, with that one, I know that product, but the way that he said, he promised that he's going to, anytime he would ever use a different product than what we've always used, he's going to make sure he gets prior approval. So that was one thing that I did with him to try to rectify that. In terms of the COVID check, I have Megan sitting with absolute security, waiting to be zoomed in right now because she doesn't understand this point. I rely on my team. It's a big event with a lot of moving parts. So when we have security in place, and I'm told one thing, that's what I know from my team. So if there's something different, she's ready to talk to you about that piece because that was manned by their company. With the ADA compliance, I'm going to let Alex talk about that one.
We had tried to, once we did the walkthrough, there were issues with access to the ADA restrooms. We had tried to come up with multiple solutions. I was talking with John the whole time. I tried plowing paths to the bathroom so that way there'd be at least grass or not snow. That wasn't acceptable. John had said that it should be bare, dry grass, which is kind of hard to do with snow and rain and all that going on during that time of year. My next option was to maybe we do a plywood highway or something that would make something good for that. John also said on that it would present an issue of being slick and frozen over on the wood. So that was out of the question. From there, I thought maybe we could open up the side gate there from the sidewalk and have direct access to the bathrooms. That broke COVID compliance, so we couldn't do that. The final option, which we did just before doors opened, essentially was we spun the bathrooms around so they face the main street there, which then that brings in the issue of, as in the notes, not everyone inside and outside the event is accessible to that. So from there, I tried my solutions. I would love to hear options on what we could do to fix this issue.
We've had comments in the past too, just with snow abatement, that people weren't able to make it to our event because the sidewalks weren't clear. So this is a very, very big issue for us too. Like we want to work with the city and figuring out how to make this more accessible because we've even had problems outside of our footprint. And so it's a big deal to us. I don't take that lightly. And so if we can work together as a team for the worst case scenario, which is snow, which is actually good for this event, but bad, we're all ears, it's just, sometimes it's a hard time of year to throw this event. And I think you guys all kind of know that with weather and just New Year's and all of it. So this year, I think it's a Saturday, which makes my life a little easier. But when it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday or, it's very difficult. We can't just pick a weekend. I'm so envious of the events in here that get to pick a weekend, get to pick nice weather. I would love that, but we just, this is what we have. So, we don't take any of these notes lightly. We, as a team, it's a lot of moving parts, and we do have to rely on contractors and, all of that. And so I'm not passing the blame. Everyone that we hired, we hired, but if I have notes to go forward with any of these people, so that we can fix things, we take them seriously. So
sure. Well, since we have to give up the room in approximately 13 minutes, I'm going to just maybe go around the room and let a few folks speak. I'm obviously in the planning stages for the event this year. We'll do safety and security. We can have longer conversations. We can make sure that we schedule you all at a meeting where we've got ample time to have really good conversations about it. And folks are willing to just do one-on-one working offline too. So appreciate your willingness to do all of that.
Sandy,
John, don't offer Homer Road up again. My dad's going to be very upset.
oh, okay. Gooder John. If possible, we would like the temporary traffic control plan in our hands by 1 November. That'll allow us plenty of time to review it and possibly meet with you and Boise Police to make sure that it's good. We have made a couple of changes that we are going to be incorporating to make sure that key bank access is maintained. I think our biggest issue with the fire pits last year was not that you set them up, but the way they were set up did not allow adequate ADA access along the sidewalks. And I know fire has some other issues with fire pits and open fires and things like that. But our biggest issue was there just wasn't the appropriate amount of ADA accessibility. The other thing that we have been seeing a little bit from other events is a lot of wiring that's not adequately or appropriately covered and meeting with ADA compliance. And I'm not saying this was a problem with you. I'm saying I'm seeing it with some of the other events, and wheelchairs just don't go over bundles of wire that are that big. So
Thanks. Yeah, so normally I've heard from you by now for 2022 or 23 New Year's. But I just echo what John said about timeline. You reached out to me way early last year, and that's fine. But since he brought it up, and I haven't heard from you yet to make sure I get that in plenty of time. And really, that's all I have.
Sandy, in parking, there were only a couple of concerns. One was that the traffic control took up more of the public parking than it should have, but we can work that out as we get closer to your event. And then the other item was that there was a lot of confetti all over the place that wasn't able to be picked up. I think Parks and Rec had guys out there cleaning. We cleaned a little bit, but there was just some of that stuff that needs to get cleaned up. But as we get closer to the event, we'll tighten all that up. Thank you.
We don't have anything.
Everything was addressed that I have comments on right now. So we'll just move forward with you guys from here.
Okay, thanks for coming in. So I think the issue with the portable heater is, again, it's not an issue with portable heaters. I just think the issue was what was presented here was different than what we found when we got out there. And we came up with a good solution. So just ensure what you do here is what's done out there, and we'll communicate if you want to make any changes. As far as the fireworks display area, that's a pretty big deal. You did get an okay from the fire department, but the reason you got an okay from the fire department was because we didn't want to shut your event down, and we made extra steps to keep that area clear, because the perimeter fencing was used as part of to protect the display area from the public. And so there was breaches in that. And so that's what we're talking about. We fixed it. We came up with a solution, and that's why we gave the approval to go ahead. So maybe I need to communicate better with James, but I do know we talked that night about this issue and we resolved it. So, but it is a pretty big deal. That's got to be, that those fireworks have to be protected from tampering. And that's what that border's for. So, and I think, yeah, that's the major issues we had. We had some other minor problems with exiting from tents, but you guys were pretty good to correct those right away. Next time, propane bottles and generators around those tents, if we could keep those out of the exit passageways. So you've got the exit to the tent and then the exit passageways to a public way. We need to do better at keeping those out of those passageways. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Just to touch on the COVID stuff a little bit. So it wasn't that it wasn't done. I think it was that it wasn't set up and we couldn't find, was it Melissa? Megan right away to figure out where everything was. So people were looking for her. And what ended up happening is I stayed for quite a while to wait to see for the setup to be done, and had to call back and have one of the EMS providers go to make sure it was done. So we were right in the middle of a very big health, COVID was big at the time. Not everybody was wearing masks and the hospitals were full. So that was something that needed to be taken very seriously, because the event could have been shut down just for that reason.
Absolutely.
So that was what the concern was with COVID. When we asked for something like that to be set up when we're in a health crisis, then that's what that concern was. It wasn't that it wasn't done.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Thank you for the clarification on that. Thank you.
I think a lot of it's already been addressed, but just in regards to you're not having things set up when the safety and security walkthrough is done. I know Rachel worked very hard to schedule that around when you are going to probably have most of that stuff ready for us to go and see. I will just say, if you're going to do that, make sure that you schedule the time when we come through. We're going to see the fencing, we're going to see all the tents, everything like that. It's going to be done. Have folks that are available to us to have our questions answered. So going forward, when you're hiring your folks and setting your timelines, make sure it works around our walkthrough as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think I scheduled that a bit early, so I need to adjust that. Thank you.
Hey, so I have the state fire marshal. They're watching. They're not here though, obviously. Couple things we wanted to address. The crane setup. We talked about that very early. That damaged property. It had to be replaced. We talked about at the time of the event. We keep hearing this over and over from every different entity is we could have shut you down. I think the state will shut you down. That's what if we get to that point. I don't think anybody wants that, but we will. The burn barrel is not on the state property. He said, you just presented and said that we knew it wasn't right. If you didn't know it wasn't right, then why'd we keep moving on to something different? Why didn't we just go get overhead heaters?
We tried to do that.
Okay.
He didn't have the staff to be able to do it.
So
that
anyway.
was different.
And for next year, overhead heaters are not allowed on state property as well.
Oh, okay.
They're an
Okay.
open flame.
Okay. I didn't know that.
The fireworks, the fire marshal will be working with City of Boise Fire that they've been doing in the past. So they'll be a little more in line on that. The placement of barricades and fencing, it cannot go in shrubbery.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
The fencing cannot go into shrubbery. So we have very beautiful rose bushes in front of the Capitol. And year after year, the fencing has been shoved or placed in the rose bushes or shrubs. So as we allow you to use state property as it's open to the public, but
we ask that people take care and consideration of that property at the same time. And then last is the trailer that we discussed on January 3rd after the event. We can't have things sitting on property for that long. It damages the property. It might be in winterization mode, but it does damage the property, and we need those things off of our property back open.
I think I might take that. I think that comment came from the governor himself. Why is that trailer still parked on the property?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Sandy. So I'll just reiterate, we've tried really hard to work with all events and do pre-planning as best as possible. And you came to the table and had some great conversations with us, but we didn't see that come through the day of. And Alex, we appreciate you meeting with us, but if you're going to have somebody lead the walkthrough team, it needs to be somebody that's part of your planning so that they're aware of all the conversations and agreements that have taken place. And Alex did a great job, but he was not aware of a lot of the things that we had agreed to. So he was doing the best he could at the time, but you did not set him up for success with the team. So moving forward, we just expect that whatever we discuss as a team is what we see day of.
I don't have anything more, but look forward to just rectifying the issues and planning for bigger and better this year.
Thank you. Ed or Leslie, do you have anything?
I do not.
I do not either.
Great. Again, thanks so much for coming in, you guys. These are after action reports that are tough like this are not our favorite, to be sure. But wanted to be really clear and transparent that it is not a done deal yet this year that there will be automatic sign off. I think each of the agencies that presented concerns are going to want to have pretty in-depth conversations and see really specific steps that you plan to take to ensure that we don't see that again. Rachel, I might suggest that when we do the safety and security meeting, Sandy, you might want to invite some of the contractors, particularly fireworks, traffic safety, just to make sure that those folks are hearing exactly the same thing that you're hearing. It is our expectation, and the reason that we ask for event footprints is so that folks, most of our events also work with a lot of consultants and vendors. The whole point of the footprint and the plan is so that everybody can have that and follow it to a T, because once it's been signed off on, that just means that like everyone around the table is like, yeah, that fits all of our different requirements. And when they show up and it's substantially different, it just puts us in a really, really difficult position. It puts you in a difficult position. Nobody wants to shut an event down the day of. But I think, as you've heard, everybody is at the point where we will if we see this again. So look forward to having more conversations with you so that we can have a successful event this year. And Kelly, right in the nick of time. Thanks, everyone.